Burr, hey, it's Matty Loans, your originator of Christmas Past. Hey, let's face it, you don't get a mortgage every year. Well, almost. According to the advisor, the average lifespan of a loan is now only 37 months, which is way less than what I thought. While it's now almost certain higher for longer is now higher for long enough, what's up with the spike in declines this year? So take my hand, Jimmy Stewart. Let's go inside and let me show you my top reason banks are saying no when they should be saying ho. It's a cold world. Let's get out of here. Ooh. For most of everybody, loan pre-qual and or loan shopping begins on the web. Why? It's convenient and it's accessible. But still, that isn't the reason the man's keeping you down. All 476,100 of you. Credit's still plentiful, even in this market. And if you earn your pay with a W-2, you're good. And way before AI was in vogue, the loan business has automated much of the ways they verify your income and assets. And if you have excellent credit, you're unlikely to fall short in this market. Say you're newly self-employed, or an individual that recently sold their business, or you recently bought a business, or maybe you're part of the gig economy, or simply have complicated commission earnings. Starting with 1-800-GET-LOAN could put you over a barrel. I know this because I made my career out of taking good loans for clients with good fundamentals that have been giving the heave-ho-ho no by another bank for sometimes the silliest of reasons. The common denominator was variable income, and their lender of choice was wearing a blindfold. So I did some snooping, and I found this gem of an article I want to share with you. It's called Truth About Mortgages. Can you handle it? It showcases the usual suspects and their decline rates. Some of this looks sus, as if you review some of these reasons, no job. I mean, who are these people, and what loan officer took that application? And it doesn't go into the details for decline, but I reckon that some of these are examples of operator error using the online application or an originator asleep at the wheel. Hey, online's great, but it can be an opportunity to get your loan off on the wrong foot. Since we don't have all day and we all got a lot of shopping to do, I'm going to reveal my number one reason this is happening because I see it the most and why. Now, going through this list, the tell is number 2, number 5, and number 16. Why? Because this is all the same. Fundamentally, this business breaks down into 2 equations: DTI, LTV. Now, effectively, 33% of your applications, your debt-to-income ratio, and the culprit for these high decline rates. But the high decline rates aren't due to interest rates. We saw the same phenomenon in 2018 when prices were, 40% lower, and interest rates were about half of what they are today. I mentioned this in my last take, but self-employeds have the hardest time getting credit. Why? Well, for starters, the amount of documentation required for a business owner will at least double, if not triple. Let's compare a W-2 earner. Say you work at Snapface and you get paid on the 1st and 15th. Your checklist will require 30 days of pay stubs and the most recent W-2. Say if you've been there 2 years and you're using your base pay. See, that's easy. But there is no base pay for business owners. Say your last name's Zuck and you own the company. And for argument's sake, let's say you own 100% of this company. Your documentation goes up from 5 items to 2 years of personal tax returns, 2 years of business returns, 2 years of K-1s, a year-to-date profit and loss with balance sheet, plus any pay stubs, W-2s, if applicable. And that's if you file your taxes in April. Think, if you file an extension, you're going to need year-end financials from the previous year, the same year-to-date financials, CPA prepared now, and a copy of the 4868 form for your personal extension, not to mention your business extension. So this needs list has just doubled. And that's if you own one business. Now, I don't know about you, but most businessmen I know, they don't just own one business, they own several. And the additional layers of documentation increases the difficulty. And then, oh, by the way, if you own a couple businesses, you probably own some real estate that occupies or is occupied by some of that business. So you probably have a slew of commercial and maybe some residential real estate as well. And there you go. You got 30-something needs. It's just an uphill battle for self-employeds right from the jump. Now, usually your bank wants to see all this information within a business week. And that's a task in itself, and it usually requires input from third parties like your accountant, your bookkeeper, maybe input from even your business banker if your business assets are tied to the transaction. So more material means what? More time to gather the data, more time to relay that data to the bank, more time to review that data, more time to analyze that data. Now, the bank doesn't bend the rules on your time to submit an application if you're a W-2 or self-employed. Remember, the name of the game now is they have to treat everyone the same. But it takes more time to gather all that material if you're a business owner. And yeah, you got to run the business too. The bigger challenge is yet to come. What's that? It's the income itself. Remember, it's hard to make Uncle Sam and Karen happy at the same time. What's the best part about being self-employed? Well, to start being your own boss, controlling your destiny. But let's think about it in one of those two ratios, debt to income terms. Truly, the best part about being self-employed is paying yourself how you want, when you want, as often as you want. Now, banks, they like easy. They like consistency, predictability. And when you layer multiple businesses with multiple schedules of income, you might end up in the hurt locker. Because here it is. Your income, it's open to interpretation. And there are many ways a business owner will pay themselves, but the lender may only accept or interpret one format of that income. Now, if we go back to this list, number 2, income too low, or number 5, your DTI is too high, that's saying the same thing. You know, if your DTI is too high, what does that exactly mean if it's based on interpretation and an analysis that's lender dependent? Now, debt is debt. That's not lender dependent. And that part will have very little variance and is pretty much cut and dry. You know, part A is all your existing debt that's identified on the credit report. Part B is the new property you're adding to your debt load. So A plus B equals C. And that's pretty much going to be the same across all lenders. But because your income is subject to interpretation, and say you get that call, well, your debt to income is too high, it's 55%. I say 55% of what income? Now, here's a wild idea. Take your tax returns to H&R Block and then take the same information and give it to your town's best CPA. Guaranteed they're going to come up with different numbers. Same deal with your loan. If you take your loan application to a bank and then a credit union and then a mortgage broker, very, very likely they're going to have several different interpretations of your income, and thus the difference in determining your debt to income ratio. DTI, it's rather nebulous and will be different between lenders. Sometimes I'll get a call from a client asking if I have a bank statement program after being denied by their principal bank. But just because you're self-employed doesn't always mean you need a bank statement program. I've seen great loans go by the wayside at other companies because of the slightest oversights. And here's an example. If you take a look at the IRS Form 1065, this is the partnership tax return, and you go to Schedule L, line 16. Lenders will look to this column D to determine the cash flow from the business, and based on the ownership percentage of the partner, the final qualifying income for each partner, actually. So this line 16 shows debt to be paid in less than a year, and often I'll see CPAs classify this debt differently. I've seen accountants, in fact, plug a variety of debt into this column, and lenders reduce the qualifying income accordingly without asking any questions. Now, what if it's a renewable line of credit? What if it's a credit card balance? It could be current portion long-term debt or something else stuffed into this column. CPAs, they do goofy things, but they're very smart. They know this schedule isn't going to be audited by the IRS, so they don't give a whoop. Now, guaranteed it's going to come under Karen's scope, and if you don't realize what your CPA used for this column, or the bank doesn't inquire, they may turn you into Daryl Hall. Trust me, 1-800-GET-LOAN isn't going to bother with asking your CPA. You're just a number there. And if they trip on their shoestrings, it may cost you your close date. The client that came to me with this issue last told me their lender doesn't do these type of loans. And I didn't do anything special. It was a saleable loan to the Govy. And likely, based on the loan size, we'd have the same investor anyhow. But the issue was they didn't know what they were looking at or what to ask for. I got stories like this for days, and maybe we'll workshop a lot of these in the coming year. Now, I can't save them all, but my gift to you is choice. So choose wisely. Always, always, always work with a local LO that can read it. And be prepared. Your next loan is only 37 months away and counting. So now you know, and if you got variable income, the keys to not getting Scrooged. See you soon.